Good evening and welcome to episode 23 of the Doofy Doo talk through of Shiren the Wanderer. Last episode we started talking about the final reason people play games, which is to satisfy their social needs to interact with other people. I'm going to interact with Pecs and Ketchy for a little bit. I'll see if I can get Pecs to the bungee jump at Janus Valley. I doubt I'll make it though because, as I said in the beginning, he is by far the weakest companion in the game. And I don't have a lot of rice balls. This courier can actually send items back to the storehouse, but it's pretty rare that he shows up at a time when you actually need him. I went over the 4 main goals people have when they interact with others, and this episode I'm going to go into more detail about the goal that's most important to me, which is the search for the truth. If you've ever taken the Bartle test for online RPG gamers, the people who search for the truth would correspond to what he calls explorers. If you remember, the first reason people play games was for exploration because of curiosity. And if that reason resonated the most strongly with you, chances are that you are an explorer and that you're interested in exploration not just in a gaming context, but also in a social interaction context. Oh no, Pecs is already... Pecs just got killed already. Oh, there goes my plan for Janus Valley. I guess I should be really angry and furious, and I should probably avenge his murder by killing that Hell Reaper. Uh-oh, the Hell Reaper's going after Ketchy. This is one of the reasons it's dangerous to have more than... Oh my goodness! Ketchy just killed the Hell Reaper by himself. He may be a pervert and a liar, but he's a badass. But getting back to explorers are interested in possibilities and patterns, and finding reasons in exploring the boundaries of game worlds. A lot of times explorers will find secret tricks or bugs that lead to techniques that the original developers never intended. One of my favorite feelings is to be in a game and suddenly realize that I'm in an area that I'm not supposed to be in yet. The enemies are way too powerful, and I must have pulled off some kind of unintended sequence breaking. In Shiren, a sequence break is just a staircase away. In Street Fighter 2, Guile had a throw called the magic throw, or Guile's handcuffs, where he would throw you and you would be frozen next to him until the Guile player decided to throw you or just won the round. The first time I saw that trick, or bug, I thought it was the coolest thing ever, even though the guy using it used it to beat me. I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that there's a bug like this. And since then in fighting games, finding bugs has always been the key to finding a lot of useful techniques, just doing things that the developers never even thought that anyone would possibly know how to do. Most of the social interaction when it came to gaming, back in the age before the internet was widely used, was one explorer interacting with another explorer. And because I'm not a super social person, that's actually my favorite type of interaction in a game. Just two people talking about the different tricks and secrets and unknown techniques in a particular game. As long as you rely mainly on intuition when you're perceiving and reacting to problems, as opposed to sensation, roguelikes like Shiren are actually very, very satisfying if you're an explorer. If you do prefer more direct information from your senses, then you're probably going to prefer a game with better graphics and sound, something more like Demon's Souls. But a roguelike like Shiren gives you just little pieces of information. You start out knowing almost nothing. And when you interact with other people, when you find someone else that's good at the same roguelike that you're playing, you're really just exchanging information. And that kind of exchange, that kind of social interaction, is a search for the truth. It's an uncovering of secrets. It's a revealing of patterns. It's something that people who like exploration really, really love. Alright, now that Pecs is dead, I could just die on purpose because there's really nothing for me past Mountaintop Town. But I'm going to go ahead and backtrack all the way to the beginning of the game to get to another level, just to show you that this is another way. If you don't like intentionally dying, then you can get to another run. It is a little bit more time consuming, but this is a difficult topic for me to talk about, and it's the... Oh my god, Ketchy is fighting a rice boss. I kind of hope that it kills him so I can... Oh my goodness, he killed a rice boss by himself. He is a beast. See what happens when you start telling the truth, Ketchy? The truth shall set you free and make you a badass. You've probably noticed that I use the original Metroid on the NES as an example a lot. Metroid is really the first game where I had no idea what was going on in the beginning of the game. It took me a long time just to figure out the basics. And I shared secrets with other people. People would tell me, oh, did you know there's an extra missile pack here, or there's actually another ice beam? And that was the first real easy interaction I had with other kids. I was always super shy when I was a kid, but somehow when I started playing Metroid and eventually the first Legend of Zelda, it really gave me a path to talk to other kids, and now I really feel that self-conscious. Metroid is also the first game I mapped out by hand. One weekend I got a piece of graph paper and I would just move the screen over one screen length and draw a little square on the graph paper, and I eventually mapped the entire game of Metroid that weekend with every single item. So you can see I was a pretty cool kid back in the day, but it was just part of that search for the truth. I wanted to find out the boundaries of the game. I wanted to find everywhere you could go. Street Fighter 2 is another game I use as an example fairly often, and that's because I think it's fair to say I was obsessed with Street Fighter 2 as a teenager. It's another game in which at the beginning you're just kind of lost. I mean, there's all of this content that's just buried, and a lot of my interaction with other kids as a teenager was about Street Fighter 2. I remember talking with someone in shop class, one of the other football players, and he said something about, oh, do you know that Chinese chick in Street Fighter 2? He's talking about Chun-Li, of course. And I'm like, yeah, and I was all excited because I thought he was going to tell me some kind of new combo or trick or bug I could use in the game. So I was super excited. It was the first time like a normal kid has ever just talked to me. I was like, yeah, Chun-Li, I know who you're talking about. What do you want to tell me? And he was like, she is super hot. And that was it, and I was so disappointed. Because I was looking for the truth. I was exploring the game. I wanted to know something based on the mechanics of the game, some new trick to use. Of course, I thought she was hot too, but that conversation went nowhere. It didn't really mean anything to me. And I would say in general, explorers are people who are interested in running their minds along the boundary of some ideas or problem or situation. Generally run into that conflict a lot in social interaction when they're talking to someone who is not an explorer. So I'll go over briefly my experiences, at least, when you encounter someone who has a different goal than you, who is not searching for the truth. Well, we made it back to Canyon Hamlet, so we are going to be in another run. That didn't take too long. The first type of conflict you run into is as an explorer when you talk to someone who is interested in winning. And under the Bartle test, I guess these people would be called killers. I used to play Samurai Showdown 2 a lot when I was younger, like a preteen. I would play against college students at the student union. And I remember I always wanted to do the swallow swipe with Ukyo really quickly off the ground. And I asked the guy I was playing against who beat me how to do it, and he wouldn't tell me because I guess he didn't want me to use it against him. But he was a killer. He was interested in winning above all else. He didn't really want to learn much. And later on, when I play people and I beat them, I give them pointers. I want them to get better. I want them to beat me. I tell them as much as I can. And some of them are interested if they're also explorers, and some of them aren't. They think I'm just gloating, but I really am just trying to teach them. Hey, there's a new restaurant in town. That's good. That means we're getting close to unlocking the first bonus dungeon. A new chef. Oh. I always think it's funny that you can just walk into anyone's house in these old RPGs, and they never think it's strange that you're just walking to their house and looking through their stuff. Let's check in on Gaibara. Hey, he's finally done. He's got the jar we've been waiting for, the melting jar. Hey Gaibara, remember that time you threw my jar with the rice balls? It's payback time. Yoga flame! Oh, I'm so mean. I just killed him. I'm curious though. I wonder if he remains dead. No, he's back. And he just starts talking to me like nothing happened. Don't you remember I just killed you 5 seconds ago? No? You want to tell me how the melding jar works? The melding jar is useful because it saves you space, and it also saves you turns. It is possible to beat Faye's final puzzle without ever finding a melding jar. I've done it, but it eats up about 7 more spaces because you have to carry all these extra swords and shields. And it also eats up a bunch of turns because you have to unequip and equip various items depending on the enemies you're facing. With the melding jar, you can transfer the special abilities of rare swords and shields onto other swords and shields and craft some kind of mega shield or sword, which is good and bad, because if you have a shield with a bunch of rare melds on it, suddenly that item becomes very, very valuable, and it's even more heartbreaking when a rice changer, for example, decides to turn it into a big rice ball. Because that one item could represent, hours and hours of grinding and item collecting. Anyway, getting back to the conflict you have when an explorer runs into someone interested in winning, or a killer. I find generally the best strategy is to put up a little bit of token resistance and then just let them win. You might have been in a conversation when somebody is always one-upping you, so you'll tell a story and then they'll feel the need to tell an even more impressive story. Once I feel that sense that this person I'm talking to doesn't really care about what they're saying, they're just gonna try to win the conversation or one-up me every time, I just let them win. I mean, clearly it's very important to them, it's gonna make them happy. I am not interested in winning. The other strategy I use is to examine their assumptions. Usually when people try to win an argument at the expense of the truth, they're making assumptions that might not necessarily be true. So I try to clarify their argument for them. And sometimes they appreciate that, sometimes they don't. And a final way to interact with someone who's interested in winning, at least in gaming, is, oh no. This is the new restaurant that opens up on the cliff, but looks like there's trouble. The mother-in-law is being tough on the wife. Happens in every family. The final way is to give them information that will help them win. Usually a winner or someone who's a killer will appreciate that. But that's not always a good thing to do. Another conflict that opens up is if an explorer runs into someone who is interested in agreement or acceptance. There's nothing wrong with being around someone who's agreeable and friendly all the time, but someone who never disagrees with you? What do I want to eat at this restaurant? Roast walrus, the most expensive dish on the menu. Someone who agrees with you all the time eventually becomes frustrating if you're interested in the truth, because you never get any new information. They just want to socialize about people and events and restate things. Oh gosh, that walrus almost killed me. And it's a lot more fun to talk to another explorer. Someone who just agrees with you all the time. These are the people on YouTube that just like restate their favorite line from a movie. Again, that tells me no information. That does not help in my search for the truth or my cataloging of reasons. So, in general, when dealing with that type of person as an explorer, I try to guide the conversation towards something more meaningful. And this is why a lot of strangers who meet me in real life end up telling me really, really like intimate secrets, just like a few minutes after I meet them. I think it's because they pick up really quickly that I don't really care about agreeing with them. I'm gonna go ahead and doppelgang these people. Hey, yeah, that's something I didn't realize. If you doppelgang another character, the original doppelganger is actually confused. Remember that time that crazy wanderer came in and he turned us all into doppelgangers and we ran around punching each other? Yeah, that's what you get when you feed Doofy poison walrus. If only I knew some really skilled chef that could help them out. Oh well, I don't know anyone like that. The final conflict that explorers encounter is meeting someone who just wants a platform for their own perspective, someone interested in ignorance. I guess this kind of loosely corresponds to what the Bartle test calls achievers. I found the best way to deal with someone like this, someone who, for example, posts a big list of reasons on an internet forum or gives you a big canned speech about a certain political perspective. Oh, I just got killed. It's alright. I didn't really have anything left to do. Yeah, the best way to deal with an achiever is to pick something in their argument that you agree with, find some common ground, and then push them to examine some of their assumptions. It's a little bit like dealing with someone who's interested in winning, except you don't necessarily have to allow them to win. Most of the time, achievers won't hang around for conversation anyway. Alright, next episode we will start talking about people who are interested in winning. I'm sure the name David Serlin will get dropped somewhere. I'll see you all then. Come on, Doofy. Alright, let's go. Doofy the Explorer. Grab your rice balls, let's go. Watch out for Spike Bominos. We could die today. We could die today. Catchy, no massaging.
Yeah, that's what you get when you feed Doofy poison, walrus.